Hey everyone, it is Megan Dashley, exclusive Black Status Level 1 presenter, and I've had a lot of people asking me about Facebook stories, which are my jam. I love them, so here we go. Okay, the cool thing about stories is that it is currently growing 15 times faster than our newsfeed sharing. And the crazy thing about Facebook stories is when Facebook was first started, we wrote text. And then they started allowing us to be able to add pictures to our text. And then it has kind of evolved more towards a camera first. We take a picture and then we add stuff to it. So that's kind of what Facebook Stories is. Facebook Stories is like a quick, you got 5 seconds, okay? 5 seconds before it goes to the next thing. So it's very quick, very easy to digest, not lots of words, but it's engaging, okay? So Facebook Stories actually allows you to use these different features. There's GIFs, there's emojis, there's text that you can do. You can do squiggles, you can do polls, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can put your location, you can tag people in it. So there's so many cool things, and if you're not utilizing all these features that they offer you, you're actually really missing out, because that's the cool thing about stories, is being able to build these layers so that you take this image that you have and build it and like make it come to life, okay? So people, where we used to scroll this way through our news feed and our timeline, we're now gonna see more people scrolling this way, okay? So we wanna make sure that when you're posting on your stories, you're getting the biggest bang for your buck, okay? And a lot of people, because it gives us the option to share to our story when we're posting, a lot of people just automatically say like, well, they're offering it, why are we not doing that? But is easier always better? If you take a few extra minutes to then, instead of just sharing directly to your Facebook stories, if you just take a few extra seconds and you go to the stories feature itself and you post that picture, you add things to it, you kind of add your own, you add your own life to it, okay? That's gonna be way more effective than if you just post straight to stories, okay? And so I'm actually gonna show you something, because it's it makes a huge difference, you guys. So I had done an example for my team not too long ago. Okay, so when you share directly to your stories, okay, I'm gonna try to get closer so you don't see the glare. You've got this extra space here and there, okay? And aesthetically, because when you post a Facebook post, it's horizontal. But when you're working on Facebook stories, it's vertical. It's a 9:16, 9:16 format. So you've got that extra space there, and aesthetically, it just doesn't fit the format of what Facebook stories is. So for someone who is savvy to Facebook stories or even Instagram stories, when they see that, they kind of see it as a shortcut or someone not really putting in the effort, okay? They're taking the easy route instead of taking a little extra time to make it really valuable, amazing content, okay? And that's what we want to do. So then if you were to go into your camera roll, say you're uploading from a camera roll, it always has the little area up top and up bottom. If you go to your camera roll and you actually resize it, they give you the option to resize to a 9:16. So if you were to resize it, you could then fill up the entire space, okay? You're not gonna have the upper, okay? You're not gonna have these missing gaps. Now, if you do use a picture and it has those little gaps above, fill the space, okay? That's where you wanna put your wording. That's where you wanna put your GIFs. That's where you wanna put your emojis, all that stuff, okay? So if you are using it, which is fine, I do it all the time, you just fill in those gaps, okay? You make it look like those gaps aren't there so that it looks like it was meant to be in the vertical format, okay? So basically, adding layers. So you're taking a picture and you're adding layers. Now, not everyone has GIFs on their Facebook stories yet. So if you're one of those people where you don't have GIFs, what you're gonna do is you're gonna use your Instagram stories. Sorry, my pool cleaner is doing its job. You're gonna use your Facebook stories. You're gonna create a Facebook story, or you're gonna use your Instagram story. You're gonna use all the features, which Instagram actually has a lot cooler features as far as stories go. And then you save it to your camera roll, and then you can go to your stories, click the little plus button, and add it to your stories that way. Okay. So, the one thing I will tell you, I'm going to be talking mostly about Facebook stories today, but Instagram is used differently than Facebook. So on Instagram, you do a lot of hashtag searches. That's how people find new content. That's how they find new people to follow. That's where people really learn, is by searching hashtags. So on the Instagram stories, they actually allow you to put a hashtag in your story. And people can click on that hashtag from your story, and it'll go show them more posts and more people who use that hashtag. Now, when you click on stories on Facebook, though, it takes you to the next person's story, okay? So it's actually detrimental for you to share from your Instagram straight to your Facebook if you're using a hashtag. So I'm not gonna go into like Instagram stories today, just because that brings a whole new level of complication. But just know that if you do have your accounts connected, where your Instagram shares to your Facebook, that you're not using the hashtag. Okay, create your story on Instagram before the hashtag, save it to your camera roll, and then you can utilize that later to post on Facebook, and then you can add your hashtag to your Instagram one and post it. Does that make sense? I know it's complicated, but people click on things on Instagram to search. When you click on things on Facebook stories, it takes you to the next person. So it's actually kicking yourself in the foot, or shooting yourself in the foot, because it's going off of your story onto someone else. Okay. So the horizontal versus vertical format, just make sure that you're keeping in mind the format of, if you're making a post and then you're sharing it straight to your Facebook stories, the format's off. It just looks kind of half done. Okay. We don't want, it's like that commercial with like the half washed shirt. We don't want your stories to look half washed. Okay. We want them to look ballin'. We want them to be valuable content that people actually want to come look at your stories more and more and more. Okay. So when in my routine, my Facebook stories is kind of the play-by-play of my day. It's the little random things. It's the funny things. It's the quirky things about my life. Okay. And then my posts that go on my wall, those are more like my family. Those are monumental business accomplishments. Those are team shout outs. And I've even started using my stories for shout outs too. And I actually encourage my new girls to use their Facebook stories for their announcement posts, okay? Because more people are in stories, you guys. 300 million plus users are using stories daily, okay? People are not seeing posts, they're not scrolling the news feed as much anymore as they are stories. So you need to be utilizing this. So for our newest girls that are wanting to really announce their business and get out there, have them do it in stories, okay? That's where they're gonna get visibility. That's where they're gonna get interaction. And you guys know that the more you're in people's messenger, the more they're gonna see your content, right? So the cool thing about stories is when they interact on your stuff and they reply to one of your Facebook stories, it goes to your messenger. When it goes to your messenger and you're responding, they're then seeing more of your other stuff. So it's like this circle where you're getting that interaction, and then it's feeding into the big stuff, the big monumental stuff that's on your wall, okay? So you don't want to have tons and tons of words. Remember, we've got 3 to 5 seconds to capture their attention before it flips to the next story, right? So you don't want to have tons of words. You kind of want to, I like to use my emojis and my GIFs and stuff to kind of help give them the idea of what's going on. So if you're making salsa and you got all these tomatoes and stuff, you don't have to say like all the ingredients of what you're making with salsa. Like you can put like fun emojis and maybe a few words like Taco Tuesday, or I don't know, like just get creative with it and you have kind of fun with it, because they have to be able to easily digest this content, okay? It has to be super fast for them to read. And if they're a slow reader, guess what? They missed it, okay? So you wanna kind of give them the idea of what your post is about quickly, okay? Few words. I prefer to do different content on my Facebook wall versus my stories. But if it's something that is really, really valuable to me, like I feel like the world needs to know about it and everyone needs to see it, then I may do one for my wall where I know that like certain people are gonna see it, and then also create it in my Facebook stories so that other people that aren't scrolling the newsfeed are gonna see it, okay? If you don't, we already went over that. Polls are huge. Those are where I get a lot of my leads for engagement, okay? You could do something about the opportunity. You could do something for foundations. Do you prefer liquid or powder? Do you prefer liquid liner or pencil? Do you prefer matte or dewy? Like, do you like matte lipstick or glossy? Like, there's so many different ways that you could go. People love giving their opinions. So even if it's not something to engage and get leads on like sales or sponsoring, people like just telling people their opinion, okay? We like to vote on things. So it just kind of gets people seeing your stuff more. If you have your Instagram set up as a business Instagram, you can then link it to your Facebook business page. So anytime I post something on my Instagram stories, I do share that to Facebook as long as it's not a hashtag in it, okay? Also, if it doesn't have a poll in it. If it's a, actually no, they do link with the polls, okay? I take that back. But I do share those. That way I'm cross-posting. So I've got my Instagram stories that is set up as a business page, and it is also sharing to my Facebook stories for my business page too. So that way I've got both that interaction. The biggest thing is, here, let me find an example. You want to have at least one Facebook story every 24 hours, okay? So when you have a Facebook story that is active, because they go away after 24 hours. Those Facebook stories, they're only there for 24 hours and then they go away. So you want to constantly be posting your Facebook stories. And my girl Alex, she is bomb at stories. Her Instagram stories and her Facebook stories are so funny. And so see that blue ring around her profile picture? When there's a blue ring, that means that they have an active story, okay? So then you can click on it and see the stories. If there's not a blue ring there, that means they don't have an active Facebook story. You want to make sure that you always have that blue ring around your name. At least one story every 24 hours to keep that blue ring there, okay? That is what is going to keep you relevant, and that is what is going to give you this prime real estate at the top of the newsfeed, okay? And you can tell by the way that Facebook is rolling things out, and even the way Instagram is doing things, that they want you to use stories, you guys, okay? Before, stories was this really small area up here, and they keep getting bigger and bigger. And now the little bubble in the corner is getting bigger. And then even when you're scrolling through your news feed, they're even putting stories in the middle of your news feed now too. And then if you go to your Messenger, at the top of your Messenger, you guys, you've got Facebook stories. They are showing you stories everywhere that you go, because that is the way that we are going, okay? Over the next year, you are going to see less people on scrolling through the newsfeed and more people in stories. So if you're not getting comfortable with stories now, you're missing out on a huge market. You are missing out on the direction and the way that social media is going, okay? There is not going to be a bunch of people scrolling vertically. It's going to be swiping horizontally, okay? That is the way that it is going. Quick, easy, bite-sized bits and pieces of people's lives, okay? And if you talk to anyone who works their business on Instagram, they are going to tell you that stories are clutch, okay? When you get 10,000 followers on Instagram, you get the swipe up shop feature, okay? That is huge. That should be like a goal for all of you guys to work towards. I know I'm personally working towards that too. And I think they just rolled out a shop now feature on Facebook stories, but I don't have one yet, okay? So they're constantly rolling out new features, and you guys have to utilize them, okay? So if you do not know like the basics of making a Facebook story, when you go to make a Facebook story, you're gonna click that. They make it so simple for you to be able to do it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, take a picture. I've got my picture. Then you've got this little like square thing right here with a face on it. You're gonna click on that and it's gonna bring up all kinds of features. So you've got location, you've got time, you've got temperature, you've got your gifts, you've got music, you've got names where you can tag people. Anytime that someone is in a Facebook story with you, or if you're on Instagram, if you're wearing an outfit from a store and you want people to know where to be able to get it, you can tag people in it, okay? Polls, you can do feelings, you can do all kinds of things. Now, if you want interaction, these three little guys right here are fun, okay? Because when people click on these in your story, they explode and they burst, okay? So I actually like to use those, say, if you, like today I did a stick foundation one. If you want to be on my pre-order list, and then I had a pointing arrow that moves like this to the heart so that they can click on the heart, it bursts, and it actually will show me who clicked on the heart burst and what's on the pre-order list. So then I can go message them asking about colors and shades and stuff, okay? Now when you go to the poll feature, it'll say ask a question. It could be anything, but the fun thing about these is you can change the yes and no. And I don't like to give people a no option, okay? You get a yes or a yes. That when it comes to my polls, it's usually like a thumbs up and a I don't know, or a heck yes, tell me more. But I never give people a no option, okay? Just don't give them a no option. If they aren't interested, they're not going to vote. But at least you got a yes or a maybe, okay? So you can change those. Oh, we don't want to do that. You can change them to a fire and a poop emoji. I don't know. You can change them to anything, okay? Say you don't want that anymore, you can just drag it down to the delete, the little garbage can, okay? Gifts, okay? They have like popular ones on the main page, but you can search for anything. So I do a lot of arrows just so I can show people where I want their attention to go. And if you search for arrows, there's all kinds of different arrows that you can do. All shapes and sizes. I mean, you could do anything. Even when I search Boss Babe is my team name, I can find all kinds of cool Boss Babe ones to put on there. If you're traveling, you could do travel, and there's always like an airplane. Like I could do travel in the world. You can do anything, okay? Fonts, training, outdoors equals winning, okay? Look at that. You can then change the text or the font. You can put color behind it. You can change the color, okay? You can then even hit that color block thing behind it again to make it a little bit more transparent. If you don't like those colors, guess what? There's this little squiggly thing up here. You can't really see it right now, but you can color behind it. I like using this like spray paint one, and I typically will change the color. Let's just do a white one. And then you're literally just gonna use your finger. Oh, don't hit the undo button. And you're just gonna squiggle, okay? So if there's an area where you can't get the text to actually show up, you can totally just play around with the little designs behind that, okay? So I'm going to, I can't undo that. We're gonna delete the text. Let's see what else. So you can honestly do anything. If you wanna do a filter or anything on it, there's the effects button that I can change the filter on it. You could do cool things, all kinds of stuff, you guys. Have fun with it. Like, the biggest thing about stories is working in layers. You're taking an image and you're making it come to life. You're telling a story to someone using words and using GIFs and using emojis. You're creating the story, but in a bite-sized 3 to 5 second time frame, okay? Let's see, make sure. There is so much that I could say about Facebook stories and just stories in general, but if you guys are not utilizing stories for your daily posting, your business, your life, you are going to miss the train, because this is the way that Facebook is going. This is the way that social media is headed. Not many people are scrolling the news feed. They're in stories. I live in stories. I watch in stories. I talk to people from stories. I get leads and engagement from stories. I live in my stories and my messenger. And you'll notice that I don't post nearly as much as I used to on my wall because I'm in stories. I'm in stories on Instagram. I'm in stories on Facebook. I'm in stories on my business page. Stories, messenger, stories, messenger, okay? That is where we are headed. That is the way. And if you look at the actual stats of stories and how fast they're growing and how widely used they are and how many people are more so in stories than they are on the actual news feed now, it is huge, you guys. Absolutely huge. So let's just kind of recap, okay? Facebook stories are quick. You're using wording, you're using GIFs, you're using emojis, okay? You're sharing different content from your wall to your stories, okay? You're not just going to go take the easy route and automatically auto post to your stories. You want to utilize the format and utilize the full space that they've given you, okay? You want to always have a story going. Every 24 hours, you want at least one. You want to have that blue ring around your profile picture, you guys. Use it, use it, use it. Oh, I forgot something that is super important for you guys. Okay. This is probably one of the most powerful things. If you want to hold this isn't what I was going to talk about, but if you need more than 5 seconds, you can hold down on the story and pause it, okay? But you can see who views your stories, okay? If they are a Facebook friend with you, it's going to show you if they view your stuff, okay? This is where it becomes so incredible for engagement and leads, okay? For the last 6 months, I have been using my Facebook stories as leads for sponsoring, okay? My list that I grow for my 20 and 30 months, they come from stories, because I know if they're seeing my stories, they know a little bit about who I am as a person and what I do, okay? So it's not a cold message anymore. They're watching my stuff, which means they know a little bit about me, which means I then am going to share this amazing opportunity, right? Yes. Okay. Now, if they are a follower of yours, you're not going to be able to see it, okay? So I will say this is probably the most frustrating part of it, but it's not the end of the world, okay? So if someone votes on one of your polls and they are not a Facebook friend of yours, they're just a follower, you can't see what they voted for. You can see that there's a vote or lots of votes, but you cannot see what they voted for, okay? Or who the vote is from. So it's a doozy in that aspect, but you guys just roll with it, okay? So if you're on your story, there's a little viewer count at the bottom. You're gonna swipe up. Oh, I just swiped off of it. You're gonna swipe up and it's gonna show you everyone who viewed your story. okay? And if they reacted to it in any way, let's see if there's any reactions on this one. Let me get to the top. The next one, okay, my hangry one. I was very hangry. So if they react to it in any way, it'll show right there, okay? So it will show you your viewer count, and then at the very, very bottom, it'll show you others. Those others are your Facebook followers. Those are people that are randomly seeing your story. And the goal is to then get them to send you a friend request so that you can see who they are, okay? So, I use this a bunch. Okay, let me take you to this one, okay? So here's the one I was telling you guys about today for the stick foundation. I used a picture from my camera roll, so it had space at the top and the bottom. I filled the space, and I even put here, let me try to switch hands. I've got the arrow that moves, okay? Want to pre-order, and they tap on this. And if they tap on this, if they tap on that, it explodes, okay? So get creative with your Facebook stories, because this is where it's going to be. Utilize the space, utilize the features, utilize the layers, add music, have fun with it. Like, this is the nooks and crannies of your life. This is the quirks, this is the ins, the outs, the behind the scenes action of your day and your life, okay? So have fun with it. Get your teammates to start utilizing this. Even if they start and they're kind of having trouble navigating, you have to be bad at something first before you can be good at it. So as long as you guys are utilizing Facebook stories right now, that's all that matters. That's all I want from you guys, is to make sure that you're just using Facebook stories in general. As you kind of get comfortable with it and you start adding in layers and adding in features and having fun with it, that's where you really start to get good at it. But you have to start somewhere. And I want you to get in the habit of posting just once a day on your stories, and then twice a day, and then 3 times a day, okay? I want you to get in the habit of it, because it takes time. At first, you're gonna feel very, very uncomfortable with it because it doesn't feel normal. Our first reaction is going to post on our wall, right? That's our first reaction. That's like our autopilot. It's going to take some reprogramming and retraining for you to be able to say, oh, I need to post in stories. I need to go to stories. But after a while, when you start doing it and you start having fun with it and people start reacting to it and you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. You automatically go for that Facebook stories. They're putting it at the top for a reason. They want you to post in stories. They want you to utilize stories. That's why it's all right there, you guys. You got to use Facebook stories. This right here, this is where our social media platform is headed. This is where it's headed. And then once you feel comfortable with that, get going on to Instagram stories. I post once a day on my main Instagram page, but I am always in stories, okay? Because it's the same there. You will have the ring around your name up here if you have a story, okay? These are all the people with Facebook story or Instagram stories right now, okay? You always want to have a story up here, okay? My Wi-Fi is not working. Hopefully this was helpful. I hope that you guys love stories as much as I do, because stories is my jam. I am not nearly anywhere a pro at this, but it is where we are headed, and it is so much fun, and y'all need to jump on the stories train ASAP. Reprogram your brain now, start utilizing it once, twice a day, and just build from there, okay? I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.